welcome everyone. I appreciate you all jumping on. I'm super excited about today. We're going to be talking about a very important topic. As you see on your screens there, my name is Pablo Troncoso. I am the Director of Training and Adoption with Sales Boomerang. And we're going to be talking about breaking down these prescriptive scenarios that get delivered to you. Or if you're from the marketing and business development standpoint of you joining us today, and you really want to see how this is going to add to your bottom line, well, then I got an even better title for you, right? How to increase your conversions with prescriptive scenarios. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about 3 of the kind of big mistakes that are holding lenders back when it comes to this technology, to this type of strategy. And I'm also excited. It looks like he's on. I've got a guest with me today for SBU, Sales Boomerang University. I got a guest with me. He's my cohort. He's my co-worker, colleague, and his name is Mike Spotten. He's the VP of Product. How you doing, Mike?
Hey, Pablo. How's it going?
Hey, man. Doing great. Thank you so much for jumping on. I know how valuable your time is. We've had just some really good conversations around prescriptive scenarios and what that means for the industry, but also for our clients, those that are currently using it, those that are considering using it, and maybe even those that never even heard of us and are like, what in the world is a prescriptive scenario? So we're going to peel all that back. So thanks again, Mike, for jumping on, man. I'm excited to have you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Pablo.
Right on. Right on. So, and by the way, do me a favor, while everyone's funneling in, I can't exactly see who's on, but I can see the chat. So we want this to be interactive. If you've got questions, drop them in, drop them right into the chat throughout our time together. We'll probably spend about 30 minutes together here. And then also let us know where you're tuning in from, what part of the country you're in, just to let me know that the chat is working. Again, thank you so much. All right, let's make this happen. All right, so right off the bat, if we're going to talk about what it is that we want to do, I want to kind of immediately confront some of the mistakes that are holding us back, right, Mike? So if we can do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just bring these up. We're going to touch on them, and then we're going to move on because I want to get past these, and I want to not have. You might be doing some of these, you might be doing all of them, you might be doing none of them, but let's take a look, right? So the very first thing, not enough focus on retention, right? Not enough focus on retention. I think of it like this. I think of it as you're looking at the windshield of all of the business that you have coming in, but we're forgetting that this rear view mirror is really a representation of all the people, all the business that we've already had and we've already done, everyone that's in our database, all the records, and unfortunately, we're looking at a disproportionate amount of focus on that windshield than we are, on our past business. So that's one mistake. Certainly, we have conversations where this is with our clients, with our partners. Where they're shifting that. So let's go on to the next one. And by the way, Mike, jump in at any point if you got anything you want to add. Number 2 is that lenders are playing defense, more defense than they are offense when it comes to retention, and when it comes to really taking a look at what's the strategy that I'm going to approach my database with, right? So they're really looking at how do we potentially get in front of a customer if there's an opportunity, as opposed to being on the offensive side of the ball and saying, okay, I know where my team is, and I know when's the right time to kind of work with them. And then lastly, is not having a full out strategy plan, right? Not someone that maybe not working with someone that gets you and knows where you want to go and what your goals are. And so it focuses on, the only thing that can focus on is confusion, right? So you look at a sign like this, do not enter one way. Well, where am I supposed to go? And so really the big idea for today, and and Mike, we talked about this, right? I love this. The big idea is we want to look at your database like you are farming it and not like you're mining it. Now, I want to let you know, I've probably been, I'm not probably, I know I've been a culprit of saying, hey, let's mine the database, right? In fact, I think kind of when we started, we're saying, hey, we're going to mine your database for deals. And I just heard, I just heard our CEO, Alex, talk about this on stage and even on a webinar yesterday that he did, that we want to be farming our database and not mining it, because the biggest difference between farming and mining is that in mining, you can run out of the resource that you're actually digging up. In farming, if you do it right, you can turn it over and over and over and over again. So that's really important to look at. And if you just look at the simple analogy of even how far farming has come with technology, right? And so there's definitely some correlations that we're going to talk about there, but that's really the big idea. And why is that so important, Mike? Well, when we figure out that, MBA a few years back said American homeowners are doing 11 transactions in a lifetime, we want to get all of those. So we want to show up on time. We want to show up, in kind of offensive, moving the ball down the field mode, and we want to have relevant conversations. So I want to talk about, again, converting alerts to apps. And what I'm going to do is, Mike, I'm going to bring you in just a couple minutes, but really quickly, I want to kind of focus on some of the frustrations that we hear our customers talk about. And actually really in general, when it comes to technology. Number one is these tech fears, right? There's some apprehension of moving forward with technology, and we're going to kind of pull back the layers on that. The second thing is a lack of leads. This has nothing to do with just technology, but in general, a lack of leads, right? With what's going on in the market, we need to figure out a way that we can turn that around. And then lastly, one of the things that makes it difficult is just awkward sales, particularly when it comes to retention. It's like this conversation that I'm having with someone that I haven't spoke to in a year and a half or 2 years can be a little bit awkward if all of a sudden I'm showing up and I'm saying, hey, remember me? Okay, so we're gonna cover those things today, so we can again convert more alerts into applications. So let's take a look. Let's kind of go back 30,000 foot from those problems, and then really kind of look at some direction, and what kind of some of the next steps are going to be. So the very first thing is we want to look at this confident tech, right? So we said that the problem was the tech fears. So I want to look at confident technology. I want to look at a consistent and constant lead flow for you, right? Not just a drip at the faucet, but a steady flow. Okay, a steady flow. And the last thing that we want to look at is we're going to look at effortless conversions and effortless conversations, right? How are we converting these opportunities into business, into sales, which is going to help me, as a lender with my ROI, with my conversions, and really just, keep bringing us back to the table. So let's go down to confident tech. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just cover these really quickly, and then I'm going to spend some time with Mike up here. But first of all, confident tech. What do I mean by that? One of the first things that you need to have is we want to take a look at your tech stack, and then we want to look at your goals. Okay, and we want to have this conversation together. Your tech stack and your goals, and are they in alignment? And can we help you stay in alignment for that? Okay, the minute we understand where you want to go, and what you have and what tools you have, then we can start to take steps forward. But until we do that first, there's a lot of time skipping this. You'd think that really the first step would be, hey, let's talk about sales and marketing. That's not it. It's really about finding out where you are and where you want to be. The next thing is you'd want to make sure that whoever you're working with would have a smooth integration in all that technology, right? You might have a CRM, you might have some some marketing technologies, and then you might even have some lead integration. How does all that work? And so that's kind of part two in that. And then lastly, is you want to have ongoing support and success throughout that process, right? So not just kind of a one touch and a two touch and then kind of hand it off and good luck with it, but you want to have ongoing support and success. As far as this consistent lead flow goes, right? So we've got our confident technology part down. Let's jump over to consistent lead flow. Mike's going to help me unravel this. We're going to talk about having the right loan right now for your past customers. He's going to talk about defense versus offense and what that means. And then we're going to show you how that's a win-win, not just for you as a lender, but also for your customers who have 11 transactions that they're going to do in a lifetime. And we believe you should get all of them. Okay.
Yeah.
As far as effortless conversions, right? How are we going to go from those awkward sales to effortless conversions? We're going to show you simplified LO training. Okay. We've got scripts and resources for all of that. Some of the best in the business, and it's important to have a strategy. Okay, so we already covered this. I want to get Mike into the mix here. Let's get into the consistent lead flow.
I do want to say one thing about the tech. For those of you that are working with us, you already know, we work with you the way that you need to work. Whether that's sending your leads right into the CRM or using our alert emails and dashboard, which Pablo and I will show the dashboard and how it looks in Sales Boomerang in just a minute. But being able to align here, I think, is the real key, the tech stack that you have, and making sure that we flow that in so that you and your team have less to learn. And that's really our goal here at Sales Boomerang.
Awesome. Mike, do me a favor. How important is it? I mean, how much time would you say you spend on, not just necessarily even when we're working with our clients, but even from an internal standpoint, when we're looking at kind of this portion of the business, how much time do you say you put into making sure our goals are aligned, making sure that, we're putting the best foot forward, making sure that we have the integration and the team available, making sure that we have support and success? How key is that to you guys?
Yeah, it's definitely key. It's a significant portion. We're, constantly working with our CRM partners to make sure that we're passing the data along correctly, and that the data is optimized so that our LOs get what they need to have those, seamless conversations that you were talking about. They're getting the alerts, put to the top of their list, or, prioritized appropriately, which we'll talk about in the next slide a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a high priority for us from a product standpoint, really optimizing not only the CRM integrations, but our other integrations as well, which we have some really cool ones coming up in the next year. So it's definitely a highlight for us and something that we're focused on from a product standpoint.
Yeah, and again, I think it bears repeating, guys. If the conversations that you're having with your tech partners, I would really just take a look at, what level of alignment are they in with your goals. Always be checking that, and always be checking that continued support and success for you is there, because without that, for us, we don't exist, right? So let's jump into this consistent lead flow idea, which again is the idea of having it help you convert more alerts into applications. Now, hey, Mike, just before you jump in, whether you are on this call, and you're again either brand new to Sales Boomerang and you're utilizing some of our products, or you're using prescriptive scenarios as it is right now, and you're loving them, or you're finding some challenges, or if you're somebody that's never even, that you're not part of the family yet, I want you to know that there's going to be something here today that you're going to learn. We want you to walk away today knowing that if you're looking at making a retention a serious part of your business, that we have the world-class, not only technology, but also the team. And Mike's the leader of that team. So Mike, if we can kind of dial back, and let's start first with any information that you want to share before we jump into Right Loan Right Now, but or any interesting numbers that you might have that you want to share with us let's go ahead and do that.
Yeah, so I truly believe that the shift that we're seeing in all business is towards retention and optimizing customer experience and retention overall. So, Sales Boomerang, from our standpoint, making sure that we're the premier borrower intelligence tool to improve that retention for our customers. And really the mission that we hang our hat on there is that we're ensuring that every borrower is in the right loan right now. So as we're asking ourselves, how do we improve our alerts? What additional alerts do we want to add? What are our borrower, or what are our loan officers, what are our loan companies looking for? It always comes back to that mission, is ensuring that the borrower is in the right loan right now. And why that's important to us and how that ties into the retention is because we're ultimately making the borrower's life better by saving them money, by educating them on the equity that they can take out of their home and use towards either investments or life improvements or stop living paycheck to paycheck. All of these things tie into that. And so as we think about this, and as we're tying it back to the loan officers and the companies that we're working with, it really comes down to how do we create that relationship between the borrower and their loan officer, or the borrower and that company. So ensuring that the right loan right now, as the borrower endpoint and as the products we're creating for the loan officers to use, really empowers that conversation and really empowers that connection between borrower and loan officer. You had mentioned that on average, people do 11 loans per lifetime. From our standpoint, that number could be even higher if you're reaching out to them at the right time, which goes into the next point, which is the defense versus offense. So from our perspective, defense is the borrower has taken some action. They could have applied for a mortgage with somebody else. They could have listed their home, but they are actively doing something. At that point, you are reacting and you're being defensive to try to save that customer that you have some sort of relationship with. Maybe you funded their last loan, or maybe you funded the loan before that. You have a relationship with this person, and now you are trying to remind them of the great service that you offered them in the past, and allow them to give you a shot at taking, giving them a second opinion on that action. And most 4 out of 5 people go with the first offer that they see. So getting in front of them and offering a second offer, you do have an opportunity to get there. But what we like to think, and where we're going with the talk today, is really about being more offensive. And that goes back to putting them in the right loan right now, understanding the goals of your borrower and being able to trigger notifications so that you can reach out to them when they have an opportunity in front of them. And so by getting ahead of that and by being that source of truth for them, hey, you have this much equity in your home, or we can reduce your mortgage payment by $200 a month. And being able to offer those things ahead of time puts you front of mind when they think about applying for a new mortgage. Or, it makes you more like a superhero when you come to them and say, hey, did you know that you had this opportunity? Did you know that you could save this money? I'm looking out for you. Just because we did the previous loan, that doesn't mean I forgot about you. I'm still thinking about that, what we talked about your goals were. I'm still thinking about how to improve your life and put more money in your pocket. And that's really where the difference between offense and defense comes.
So I love, for full disclosure, I was in the business for about 9 years, as a loan officer, as a branch manager, and my team, we weren't crushing it like some of these teams that we work with today are. But we were doing about 60 million a year in volume with my small team. And, for me, I thought that was great. But I remember literally having the conversation of, where all these people that we've done business with that are in my database, and then wondering, I didn't know the number was 11. It probably wasn't 11 back in 2005 or 6. It might have been less, as far as how many loans transactions a client did in a lifetime. but I knew that they were doing multiple because I worked with referrals out of my own database, right? Like I'm sure many people on here do. So my question is, what that person that's thinking about how much time, how much effort can be saved if you have a system in place that can actually help you play offense. I mean, I'm just thinking, man, based on a customer that could be qualified, a customer that has equity, not only credit qualified, but has equity, and I know how much money, like almost to the dollar amount, I can save them. How much time does that save me as a loan officer, and immediately put me in a position to play offense where I can call up a customer? I'm just thinking the amount of hours. I mean, I don't even have to pull credit, and I can call a customer up and with confidence say, Mike, here's what we can do for you today. And here's probably, based on our last conversation, it would be strongly, I would just highly recommend that we have a discussion on this. So, I mean, how much time are we saving people?
Yeah, I don't know how to break it down into time, but it has to be a significant portion. You're talking about not, calling out to cold leads. You're talking about reaching out to somebody that you already have an existing relationship with, or at least is a prospect, and they know your name. You're reaching out to them with valuable information, and that outreach could be a phone call, it could be a text message, or it could be tied in, going back to your last slide, tied into your tech stack, and start a campaign so that you're sending out emails over time, and then having inbound leads come to you, which is exactly what saves you the most time. Somebody calling you back from your outreach, and then being able to say, absolutely, what was listed in the email, we can actually work on you with. Let's get that application started.
Yeah, I love that, and we're going to jump into your screen, and I'd like for you to show us what the 3 different types of prescriptive scenarios look like, from a dashboard perspective. But really, I mean, what this boils down to, guys, is, I mean, we always talk about, and I hear this all the time from lenders, is like, we want to be the consultative or advising loan officer to my clients. And so really, as I'm hearing this, Mike, the best way to be that and to deliver that would be to have a tool that actually delivers those opportunities to you, that you and I would agree as a, and not from a sales boomerang perspective, guys. I'm talking about from a loan officer, from a lender looking at an opportunity and saying, wow, I'm so glad I have this. I absolutely need to deliver this to my client, the information, let them decide if they want to work through. But then when they receive it as a borrower, here's where the win-win comes in. It's not just a win of me having something that they would want, but then the borrower taking a look at that and understanding that you're a consultant, that you're a likable expert, that now all of a sudden they look at that and they say, wow, Mike, man, thank you so much for bringing this to my attention. No one has ever approached it to me in that form or fashion. So now all of a sudden it's a win-win. There's what we talked about, an agreeable desire. And now it's completely up to the customer to say yes or no, not yes, or let me talk to someone else. I need to think about it, or I need to work with a competitor. So that's really that win-win.
All right, so this is our demo account on Sales Boomerang. So you would come in either from an email or directly to this link, and you would see your 7-day overview here at the top. I've already gone and limited the alert types to the prescriptive scenarios here, so we can look at those. But over the course of this week, this demo client has received 113 total alerts for a potential loan volume of a little bit over $31 million. So I can go down here in our dashboard and I can select the alert types. I can select the time period that I'm looking for, and I can even break it down by branch if that's important to you. In this case, we just wanted to be able to show the different alert types that we're talking about today, the 3 different prescriptive scenarios. And so we have cash out here. So this client has 262,000 in tappable equity. And so one of the real differences here about the prescriptive scenarios is we show you the amount of tappable equity. It's not just, hey, they have, 20% equity in their home. We're letting you know how much equity they have in that cash out. So the conversation with the borrower is a little bit more straightforward. And then with our rate and term, it's the same thing. The estimated savings per month that you would be able to save them based on the rate that they have currently, the rate that exists today, the equity that they have in their house, and what a 30-year mortgage would look like. You're talking about an additional $340 a month in savings. And then finally, any of the borrowers that are able to remove mortgage insurance, which should be an easy win, are just listed like that. I'm going to go and open up one of these cash outs, this one right here. And so you see this nice little side sheet slides out, gives you all the information for the client. You can reach out by email, call, you have their address here. Again, it tells you the tappable equity that exists, the current combined loan to value from multiple sources if they exist, the current LTV, and then current loan amount and the home value. So breaking all of that down for you. Then you can see who the loan officer was within this client, and then also would typically break down the credit information that's not listed here again because it's a demo account, but it would typically tell you what the FICO score was so that you have that as well. And then this section here is SB provided loan data. So something we're doing is comparing the loan data that's provided by our clients, and then we are checking that against our data sources to make sure we're using the most relevant and recent data sources. Sometimes the data within your CRM, within your database may become stale. Maybe this person, did take another loan since you last talked to them, and you don't have that information. We can pull that information in and then use that to make sure that we're triggering on the most recent information, and that is a value that comes with these prescriptive scenarios. So in this case, for the cash out, you could reach out and talk about the equity that they do have. One other piece of data that would come along with this is the current amount of debt that the user has. Again, because it's a demo account, it's not listed here, but they would also show the current amount of debt that they have. And so you can use that. So right here, you can see the revolving debt is at 0. Again, it's only because the demo account, we would also tell you the HELOC balance. And you could use those 2 pieces of information to put your customer in the right loan based on that, whether it's saving them money or putting them into a new rate that would save them money on their mortgage. Either scenario there.
Hey, hold on one second, Mike, before you go off of from that Bessie account. Sure. I love this. Like this screenshot alone. If I'm able to get that, I mean, this is the kind of work that a loan officer puts in a lot of time when they're trying to work up a scenario for a client, for a borrower to say, hey, here's, here, Bessie, here's what we think would be a great opportunity for you to take care of. It takes so much work, so much time to do this. And now it's being delivered right into your, right into the dashboard, right into your email. If you're using CRMs, we'll have those in there. But let me ask you a question. What's the difference between equity and tappable equity?
Great question. So the equity amount is your total equity, but your tappable equity is that equity which most clients can actually use from what's listed there. So for instance, most conventional loans, you can take anything over 80% equity. Some clients, like in this case, you could take a little bit more. So it looks more like 90% or 85%. So it's the amount of equity that can actually be taken out to change that loan amount by. For FHA, it's a little bit higher. You can go up to 95%. And for VA, in some instances, it's even higher than that. So it's really about the rules that each company has in place for the amount of equity above a certain percentage that the borrower can take out in cash when going to the table.
That is so cool, because essentially it's just what's usable. What I'm seeing is that you're delivering to me this number, this this tappable is what's usable. So even if the revolving debt said 20,000, line of credit balance said 20,000, I might be thinking they probably don't have enough equity to do this. Right in this screenshot, I can say 40,000 in total revolving debt, but they've got $58,000 I have leftover, right? So that's really
Right.
I just wanted to make sure we point that out.
Yep.
That anyone just at a glance looking at this. All right, let's jump into the rate and term.
Yeah, so very similar. We try to keep everything that we present in a similar fashion. Again, the Hollis up here, the email, the phone number, the address, so you can use those as you see fit. One other really cool thing that we have for people that come into our dashboard is that you can actually copy all of this information to the clipboard and paste it, or you can email it directly to either yourself or a loan officer, or or your admin, whomever. But either way, you can take all of this information and just pass it on. I wanted to point that out really quick.
Yeah, it's huge.
For the alert information here, you can see that the current interest rate that they're running is 5.12%, but the interest rate that was alerted on, we pull in the national average interest rates from Optimal Blue, and the interest rate that was alerted on was 2.89%. So you're talking about a significant savings there, but then we're also taking the current CLTV into account so that we can calculate this monthly savings for the full rate and term. So as we push this back, the monthly savings of $340 a month is delivered. Now, how this is actually set up in our platform is that you're setting a delta, the amount between the current interest rate and the alerted interest rate. And where we're going over the course of the next 6 months or so is we're actually going to allow you to set this value. So if you know none of your customers are going to move unless it's $120 a month or $200 a month, we'll allow you to set that value. But right now, the way you do it is by setting the difference in the alert rate. So in most instances, people are setting it anywhere between an eighth and 1%. And so this would definitely trigger for most people. That's a pretty significant jump there.
That's so awesome, Mike. And I think, and again, guys, I just want to make sure that we capture this, is that right off the bat, we see this information at the top of the information that's provided here on the dashboard. This is something that, I mean, how many data points, we don't need to get into the super deep dive tech on it, but how many data points are being verified, are being validated, so that, this 340 estimated monthly savings isn't just kind of pie in the sky number. It's actually based off of this person's current actual lifestyle data and debt that they have, correct?
That's right. Yeah. So we're taking these values specifically, we're pulling them in. We're getting ABMs from our trusted source that's pulling in the home value, and then the current loan amount is being pulled in either based on the SB provided data, which I talked about earlier. In this case, there's no public record data found, so we are using the loan information here and then calculating that based on the amount of time that they've had the loan to come up with the current loan amount. So, in this instance, if they are paying more per month, that's not something we can see, but if they are paying more per month, then they could actually save even more money than that. So we do try to be conservative when we're doing this, so that when you're talking to the borrower, you are in a position where you can be like, oh, I can save you even more, so that is our goal there.
Yeah, and Mike, I mean, this puts me, a loan officer, in the position to feel super confident to be able to send a text message or a phone call to Hollis and say, hey, Hollis, we need to talk soon. Like, I think I might be able to save you, around $300 a month, if not more. Let's talk soon. Got really great news. And even if it's somebody you haven't spoken to in a while, hey, Hollis, no, we haven't spoken in a while, checking in. I've got great news. I might be able to, help you put more money towards, Johnny's college, upwards of $3 to $4 grand a year, right? That kind of messaging, and with the confidence to know that this is actually true. Like, I don't have to pull your credit first to confirm. I don't have to do do an appraisal. This is just, I mean, that's the power of these validated, points of information that rate and term and prescriptive scenarios brings.
Absolutely. Yep.
Awesome. Let's take a look at the last one then.
Yeah, so the last one is pretty simple. So this is only on FHA loans. So it's MI removal. You know, if you're in the industry, you definitely know, you know, FHA, you know, you're going to be paying mortgage insurance for the life of that loan. You know, unless you put more than 10% down, but most people are putting less than 10% down. And even if you are putting more than 10% down, but still less than 20%, you're still staying in that mortgage insurance for at least 11 years, and you could cut it off way sooner than that. So in this case, this person could have stopped paying mortgage insurance at some time in the past. So this is a super easy call to make, is like, hey, you're still paying mortgage insurance and you haven't had to for a while. Let's get that taken care of for you, because the current CLTV is below 80%, which is where you need to be to take mortgage insurance off. So, you know, in this, these MI removals should be like the easiest call you can make. You know, pick up the phone. Hey, you just hit a point. You just crossed the line. You just got to the point where you're at 80%, and no bank is going to tell you to remove that mortgage insurance, because it's on there forever unless you refinance. And so, really getting to the point where you can help that borrower. Hey, did you realize that you're paying, you know, 1% extra every month because of mortgage insurance? We can take that off for you right now. And quite frankly, rates are great right now, so we can probably save you even more money too. So these kinds of conversations should be super easy when it comes to this prescriptive scenario. Again, it's credit qualified, so you do have the information you need, as Pablo's been talking about. You know, it should be a super easy call.
Yeah, what I love about that, Mike, I mean, you say it's a very easy phone call. It's quite simply this. I mean, I don't know anyone that's ever paid mortgage insurance that didn't question it. Like, why am I paying this again? Like, at least multiple times throughout, you know, the life of that loan. And now, you know, the way that we train our loan officers that are approaching these prescriptive scenarios is, you call them up and say, hey, Mike, remember that pesky $130 line item on your mortgage statement that you're always asking me about, that mortgage insurance, or that PMI? You've always been asking me, how do we get rid of it? Well, today's the day. All right, today's the day. We can go ahead and wipe that out. Let's go ahead and get started. Do you have some time now, or do you want to do this later this evening? That's it, with confidence, without having to pull credit. You know, they got the credit scored. You know, they've got the equity. It's a done deal. They're going to either do it with you or with someone else, or for, you know, maybe for some reason, they're not going to do it at all. But I want them to at least know from you.
Yep.
So that covers the 3 prescriptive scenarios. Thank you so much for doing that.
Good thing.
Mike.
Happy to do it.
Yeah, man. So, and by the way, guys, you know, and I'm so grateful that Mike's jumping on to do this with us, because it's him and his team that have created this. Right, it's him and his team that have created this program. Essentially, all the products that you know, that we have at Sales Boomerang, and we're consistently and constantly trying to get together to see how we can deliver the right loan at the right time. So, how does this convert?
Hey, Pablo, there is a question from Ozzy in the chat. What if a client is eligible for both rate and term and cash out? Will the system show both? It's a really good question. So the way that we handle that, Ozzy, is we do not show both at the same time. So if somebody is eligible for rate and term and cash out and they trigger, we suppress the other one. We will show the details of rate and term or cash out. We suppress the other one for 120 days so that you're not getting charged for both alerts. But then, you know, you can act on the information that's provided in that alert there.
Yeah, great question. Thank you for handling that, Ozzy. It's super intuitive, right? Like, you know, we think of all these things. There's no reason, you know, that someone should get multiple alerts for one person when it comes to prescriptive scenarios, especially when all we're trying to do is, again, just bring to you all of the validated touch points. And so I love that suppression aspect of being able to deliver the one that makes the most sense. Okay, is there another question? Again, if anyone else has a question, pop in. We're gonna roll through. We got just a couple more minutes. I appreciate everyone staying a little bit longer. But again, I'm just going to talk about this effortless conversions, right? So how do we take how do we take these awkward conversations again to somebody that, you know, for example, in that in those alerts that Mike was just showing us, how do I talk to Hollis, who I haven't talked to in a year and a half, and approach her? Well, guys, we've got simplified loan officer training, right? We've got an incredible, you know, adoption team and training that we put and that we roll out to. By the way, I mean, currently, I think we're in full live version of prescriptive scenarios. We started off with pilot version at like 3, and now we're over like 25 clients that are full on using, you know, these prescriptive scenarios. And I've had the pleasure of training them. And the CS team, the customer success team, is working with me to do that. We have scripts and resources. So some of the scripting that I kind of discussed throughout the approach on each one of those prescriptive scenarios, we have those available for you. We obviously record all of our trainings for you. And we're constantly looking to form and align your goals with your technology and your team. And the best way that happens, guys, is through a strategy session. Ozzy asks, what is the cost? I love it, man. Straight to the point. So what we're going to do, I don't know personally the cost. I'm probably not the guy to have that conversation, but if you, for anyone that's interested in finding out either how to implement some of these strategies or how to implement these prescriptive scenarios, I want you to type into the chat the letter RX. Okay, drop the letter RX for prescription, all right, into the comments for a strategy session or to implement these. And what's going to happen is your customer success manager will reach out to you, and they'll walk you through the pricing, and then also see if it makes sense, right? If it's a right fit and makes sense for what it is that you have and that you're doing. Mike, was there another question that just dropped in there?
There is. There's our leads for only current customers we have or these prospects. So one of the cool things about our system is that when you load your database in, we analyze that and we distribute the leads to the right alert types based on the conversation that you have in onboarding and with your sales representative as you're having these. So the answer to that question is we can take prospects that you may not have all of the information on, and some of the data that I was saying that we provide, the sales boomerang provided data, can identify that person does have a home, and this is the equity level. So to answer your question, some of those prospects will get pulled in and be part of those alerts as well, as long as we can find that data within our system. So it does open up those opportunities for you, Swami.
So great questions, guys. So let's go ahead and bring this home. Remember, it's farming. It's farming, not mining. Okay. You have a database, and technology is improving daily, you know, at a pretty rapid pace right now. And we are at the front and cutting edge of that. You don't want to burn out your resources, but you want to farm and continue to turn over that database. So remember that, have an extreme focus on retention. Okay, have a serious focus on retention. So not just looking at a rear view, but really how can we expand that rear view so that we have a team? Think about that. You might have a team. You might have a specific loan officer, or somebody that you can say, hey, you know what? Why don't we try and even potentially pilot a prescriptive scenario for a group or a division or a branch, and now we can help them stay super focused on that, and we can help them doing it by playing offense, right? Not just being on the defense, and we can do that by helping you all with the strategy. So again, the right loan right now, and having a win-win strategy with playing offense versus defense, because that's what your borrower needs. So again, go back, take a look, sit down with your team, figure out, you know, which one of those boxes do you check, right? Which one of those boxes do you check, and then come back and let us know. But for again, just let me know. Drop the words or the letters RX into the comments section, and we'll reach out to you. Ozzy, appreciate that. We'll get that information out to you. We'll have a strategy session, and then also or reach out to your customer success manager, your CSM, if you're already part of the family, and we'll make sure to connect with you. Guys, it's been a pleasure. Mike, thank you so much. Swami, thank you.
Thanks for having me,
Ozzy,
Pablo.
get you that information. Yeah, absolutely. Guys, be well, and we'll see you real soon. Been a pleasure. Bye-bye.